Alright, take a second to try and figure out what each of these mean. Skibidi Toilet, Grimace Shake, Sigma Riz. Now don't worry if you're confused. You're supposed to be. This is what passes for normal in the world of Gen Z memes. But there's method to the madness. That's why you recognize some of the things that we just said. First off, there's Skibidi Toilet, which has nothing to do with toilets. It's actually a song that blew up on TikTok last year. And yes, you can dance to it. But the point isn't to make any sense, or to have any real meaning at all. Sometimes it's nice to not have meaning. But this doesn't just apply to the lyrics of songs anymore. This is how most Gen Z music videos go. There's no story, no message, just stuff happening. Take Lil Nas X's Industry Baby. Instead of telling a cohesive story, the video cuts between Lil Nas X getting dressed, throwing money around, and twerking on a stripper pole. It's ridiculous. But that's kind of the point. We've entered a phase where music videos are made to be absurd and nonsensical, and it seems like this phase will continue, because we're now seeing the effects of this in movies too. If you watch the new Fast and Furious movie, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. Literally none of it makes sense. But why? What's the point? Well, this brings us to our next meme, Grimace Shake. Now before we explain, let us know in the comments if you already knew what these meant. Alright, so Grimace Shake was a viral TikTok trend where people would order a chocolate shake from McDonald's, purposely spell it incorrectly, so that the employees would give them a free one instead. And when they got their free shakes, they would post about it on TikTok. So what does this have to do with the Fast and Furious movie? Well, if you saw it, you probably noticed that none of the characters seemed to care about how much money they were spending either. Dom buys a $10,000 car with cash without batting an eye. Let me tell you, if I had a friend who spent $10,000 on a car, I would definitely be like, bro, what the hell? Why would you spend that much money on a car? But the thing is, it seems like everyone in the Fast and Furious crew would spend $10,000 on a car without thinking twice. None of the characters ever really seem to worry about money or the consequences of their actions. They just do whatever they want, and somehow they always get away with it. Kind of reminds me of a 20-year-old kid on TikTok with no responsibilities ordering a chocolate shake from McDonald's. The point is, this lack of concern for the consequences of their actions is something that seems to only exist on TikTok, and it's slowly bleeding into Hollywood. Now you might be wondering, great, but why? Why are Gen Zers acting like this? Well, that brings us to our final meme, Sigma Riz. Now if you don't know what any of these mean, honestly just Google it. It's not safe for work, and it's pretty cringy. But here's the point. Back in the day, being cringy was enough to make fun of someone. But nowadays, you can actually get girls by being cringy. There's a whole community of guys online called Sigma Males who help each other out with their dating lives through cringy pickup lines and weird tactics. And if you thought that was weird, just wait. The same exact thing happens in movies too. In fact, it's even weirder. Characters in movies are doing the most absurd things to get girls. Take the new Top Gun movie Maverick. Tom Cruise reprises his role as a pilot, who's still a captain, after 36 years. He's a total rule breaker who crashes all of the jets that he's supposed to be training with. He ignores orders from his superiors, and he even puts the lives of his passengers at risk multiple times over, just to impress a woman. This wouldn't fly with older audiences, but Gen Z loves it. The reason for this is simple. Gen Z men are tired of being told that women are too good for them. No matter how hard they try, they can never win. Society says that they're simps and that they should just give up, but the internet proved them wrong. They realize that they can still get girls if they just say the right things and do the stupidest things. That's why they're rooting for these characters, because deep down, they wish that they had the guts to do the same thing. Now this has been going on for a while. Gen Z has been slowly infiltrating the media landscape, but there's a few reasons as to why this is happening now. For one, Gen Z has finally entered the workforce, meaning that they're able to make actual money. They're earning enough to go out and buy things, to go see movies, and to support content creators who make them laugh. That's why every single time a new meme blows up, you'll see news articles talking about how society is doomed and how our standards are slipping. But the thing is, Gen Z didn't invent memes. Millennials used to create memes all the time too, but they never made it into the mainstream. Why is that? Well, it's because millennials never had enough buying power to back up their weird little niche hobbies. They never had the financial capability to change things, but Gen Z does. Think about it. Gen Z has grown up with smartphones, social media, and instant access to the internet. They're digital natives. The way that they consume media is different. Instead of waiting until Saturday mornings to watch cartoons, they watch YouTube videos whenever they feel like it. They don't wait until they're 18 to start streaming shows on Netflix. They just sign up when they want to watch something. The way that they consume media is instant and on demand, and the companies that run the media landscape are catering to them. Disney knows that the average age of its audience is getting younger and younger, so they're trying to appeal to them. That's why they're releasing so many remakes of classic films. They're also releasing original content that's specifically aimed at kids. For example, Disney's live-action Lady and the Tramp remake failed to impress critics and audiences alike. The CGI was terrible, and the storyline wasn't good either. But Gen Z loved it. The movie made $64 million in its opening weekend. Sure, that doesn't sound like a lot for a Disney movie, but it was enough to rank first at the box office. Disney knew that this was going to happen though, which is why they positioned the movie in a weird spot in between their regular theatrical release and their streaming service Disney+. By doing this, they were able to make the movie seem like a big deal when it was released in theaters. But they also ensured that they would make money, whether the movie did well or not. Either way, they could profit off of it. The same thing happened with the new Spider-Man movie. Critics bashed it for having too many plot holes and a predictable storyline, but Gen Z loved it. In fact, the movie shattered box office records, pulling in $121 million on its opening weekend. To put that into perspective, Avengers Endgame only pulled in $97 million on its opening weekend. In fact, the only two movies that have ever grossed more than Spider-Man are Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. But those are superhero movies. People are obviously gonna show up for those. So the fact that Spider-Man did better than even Infinity War is a huge deal. And yet again, it's a movie that critics hated. But this is becoming more and more common. Just look at Dune, the newest movie from the creators of the hit show Euphoria. The show itself is critically acclaimed, but the movie is terrible. It has a 38% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. But guess what? It's the most watched movie in the world on Netflix right now. But why? Why are Gen Z's opinions taking over? Well, it's because they're the ones that are watching these movies and consuming this media. They're not the ones writing about it or reviewing it. But that's slowly changing too. Take a look at the Oscars, for example. Every single person nominated for Best Original Screenplay this year was under the age of 40. This is a huge shift in Hollywood. Sure, older writers still dominate the industry, but Gen Z is making their presence known. Now, obviously, you don't have to agree with Gen Z's opinions. You don't have to think that these movies are good, but it's important to understand why they're becoming popular and why younger generations are starting to influence the media landscape. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself lost in a world that you don't understand.